Okay, welcome back to the Rugby Illuminati. And after that game, you know what? I'm actually not going to take off this hat because I think Scotland put up a hell of a performance today and they were just a bit unlucky. Where to start? First of all, congratulations to France for winning the tournament. That's my laptop restarting, just ignore that. Congratulations on France on winning the tournament. I think it was well deserved. I think in terms of consistency throughout the tournament, they were definitely the most consistent team. I think they're definitely the most talented. They've got the best all-round squad, so based off of that, and if they played in form, which they did, they would deserve to win the tournament. So I think in terms of somebody winning the tournament, they were probably the best ones and probably felt the most fair to give them that. And it's great that they've won it because under Gautier, they've had some great rugby moments, but they haven't actually won a tournament yet. So to win the Six Nations is great for them. It's massive. Always forget to turn that off, but it is off now. That was a fart. So yeah, I think coming into this game, I thought that the chances of Scotland winning were very slim. But I thought with Lucu being in the team, there would be a lot more kicking deep, because he's much better. It's much more within his kind of repertoire of what he does compared to Dupont, which I thought would give Scotland opportunities to get on the counter, because I think they've arguably got the best back three in the world with Kinghorn, Darcy Graham and Van der Merwe. Didn't exactly pan out like that. It was a lot of playing for territory. I think France were pretty conscious of that back three of Scotland. They either kicked into touch or they kicked for competitive kicks. I think being cognizant of the counter-attack ability of the team. I thought we saw that in the first half. It was pure power. Stayed within Scotland's half as much as they could. It kind of paid off. Jamie Ritchie got penalised for pulling down a maul. I think he mouthed off to Matthew Carney just before that decision to give him the yellow card, which I think definitely influences his decision. And that put stress on Scotland from France, and they came away with points. But Scotland did manage to fight back. They managed to put themselves in areas of the pitch where they could compete. France gave away a few silly penalties, kind of round the halfway area. Scotland did find themselves in positions of great attacking prowess. And in the first half, their first try was, well, it may have been their only try, but it was really excellently worked. I've never really seen someone break down France that way in terms of just consistently going over gain line, and just getting consistent gain line yards. It was really good, and it gave me a lot of hope as a temporary Scottish fan for this game, for obvious reasons, because if they won, England would have won the tournament. But it gave me a lot of hope thinking that Scotland could win this game because they seemed to have the players and the formula to get over the gain line. I think for that first 40 minutes, Scotland's forwards pack was much more physical than France's. They were winning every contact area. They were always getting gain yards. They were getting clean ball for Ben White. They were being able to whip it wide when they had the ball. And then they also had the advantage of going 14 men against 15 because of the Mouvaka penalty and the yellow card on him, which kind of brings me on to my next topic. I wanted to say what I wanted to say now, not to take anything away from France, because if all of these things have been refereed correctly, then I still think France probably wins the game. They're the better team. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. But the refereeing today was just appalling. And it always seems we get the biggest games and we get the biggest gaffes by the referees. I guess maybe because it's the highest quality of rugby, it's going quicker than most other games ever, or whatever, right? But that was the first decision, and that wasn't quick because they managed to do a bunker review in the TMO. Mouvaka gets a yellow card for shoulder charging, I believe, Ben White on the floor, who does try to milk it as much as possible. But I think there's no question in my mind that Mouvaka, after the whistle is blown, shoulders in the head to Ben White. Whether that's like in the bunker review or whatever, it's a red card. After a whistle's gone, you're throwing a shoulder into somebody's head. Once a whistle's gone, players are defenceless. They've got no reason to kind of feel like they have to get their guard up. And it's just dangerous play. And it was horrible to see. And that was probably the first part where I don't even think it should have been a bunker review. I think Mauvaka should have just been sent off and France should have been put down to 14 men for the rest of the game. That's the first decision I think that was made by the referees that I think they got really, really wrong. The second decision, I think that Mickael, I don't know if he necessarily got wrong, but I don't think we got a chance to review it, was Scotland's counter-attack try just before the end of the first half. That was actually from what I thought would be Scotland's game plan. Kinghorn does a counter-attacking run that completely slices open the French team, eventually leads to a try just at the half-time whistle. And apparently I think the touchline judge just puts his flag up and Mickael just says, yeah, no need to review, touchline judge has seen it, bang, gone. I'm not saying that was a try. I'm just saying when you've TMO'd some other ridiculous stuff within the game, I feel like we at least deserved a TMO review of that, of that going out into touch. It's the same situation with James Lowe against Italy, where you feel like you've TMO'd a lot of stuff. Why are we not TMOing this? Where we don't even know in this case, but with the James Lowe case, like we do know for sure that he was in touch, right? So that was another bad decision. And I think the nail in the coffin for giving Scotland no chance of getting back into this game was when Scotland, I think, was still one score down. They were defending valiantly. And they managed to get a situation where they had a player, the French player, taking the ball on the far end of the pitch. They managed to tackle him, get him into touch. And Mickael gives a penalty for something I've never seen before, where Scotland are penalised for dragging a player into touch after tackles being called. Don't know about that. I think the letter of the law states that any player that is on the floor is no longer within the game. So if he's not in the game, how can he counteract any move of you dragging him out of the pitch? Don't know. I think that's a terrible call. And that was the bit that swung it. After they got that advantage, or they didn't have the advantage, they got the penalty from that, they went for the corner, and then they get the line out and Ramos goes to score. And from after that point, it was pretty much over, right? It was a 2-score game. And everything kind of slipped away from Scotland having any chance in this game. So, yeah, another big game where the referee, for me, is the biggest story. And I'm just disappointed. I think long gone are the days that we used to have 2 referees that would never, ever, ever make decisions like this once and again, never mind 3, where we had Wayne Barnes and we had Nigel Owens. And I just feel like we have some good referees, don't get me wrong. We have good referees, but we are bereaved. We don't have those kind of talismans anymore that get everything right all the time. They just don't exist. And for games of this importance, it's so critical that we get somebody like that again. That's not to say Mickael is a bad referee. I think he's pretty good. My point is more, when we have a game of such importance, where is your Wayne Barnes, your Nigel Owens, that consistent from start to finish to the end of the game, and also gets 99.9% of calls right? Where I think, and then there was another call as well, which was less effective in the game, but Jamie Ritchie goes up and competes for a ball that, he competes and he gets called for taking Penaud out, even though Penaud is like 2 meters in the air and just hits Jamie Ritchie's shoulder while he's looking up at the ball. Another terrible call. We just don't have that talisman referee anymore. We don't have a referee that can be like, okay, biggest game of the year, or like World Cup final, European Cup final, this is the guy we're going for. We just don't have that tier list anymore. We just have either like acceptable referees, or we have referees that, room for improvement. It's just my opinion. With that ugliness out of the way, I think France were very good in terms of their game plan. Their 6-2 bench worked excellently. Whereas I've talked about Scotland being able to get over the gain line and be very physical, and their forwards were out muscling the other forwards. I farted again. that all changed at the 45-minute mark when Le Petit Bomb Squad came on, right? The Biggie Bombs. Don't even know what I'm saying at this point. It's late. I've done 3 videos in a row that are all going to come out at very similar times. But you felt the physicality change with those French forwards coming on. You felt it swing round. And you just know that Gaultier would have said to them something along the lines of, you better step up because at the moment it's not good enough. And it did. And it made a huge difference. Moefana. God. I mean, this time last year it was Dante. World Cup, it was Dante. Moefana couldn't get in this team. Now, you know, I don't know what's going on with Dante, whether he's healthy or if he's recovering from injury at the moment, but with Moefana playing the way he is at the moment, he's going to struggle to get back in this team unless he wants to play outside centre. An excellent game from him. I thought Lucu was really good. He got the ball out much quicker than I've seen him do previously for France in terms of last year's Six Nations performances. Ramos had a great game. Bielle-Biarrey, it seems like he's like 9 out of 10 every single game he plays. But yeah, there's got to be credit given to where credit's due for Scotland. Some of their attacking play was just so beautiful to watch. Attacking-wise, they are one of the best teams, I think, in the world. They really are. The way they can just, you know, get over the game line and just create something out of nothing. It's like they've almost got like 3 or 4 Marcus Smiths with footwork and speed in that back line. Today as well was a game that I think Tom Jordan's shown why he's not just a replacement for when Tuipulotu's injured. Excellent pace, great lines as well. Darcy Graham, great game. Kinghorn, great game. Van der Merwe, when you got the ball, looked very dangerous. I still have a bit of conspiracy theory that I think defensively Van der Merwe is left wanting sometimes, especially defending high balls. He's very good at attacking high balls when he goes to compete for them because he knows how to like use his body to go forward with momentum. But I think he really struggles with collecting balls defensively from a defensive position. When he's a tall guy, there's not really much of an excuse for that, but I do think he struggles. If he wants an example of how to deal with high balls, he needs to watch Fickou from the kickoff and how he turned his body, which was just beautiful to watch. And then there's the topic of Finn Russell, right? Moments of pure genius this game. Like, such vision of passing and certain kicks. But you got to remember that 2 of the tries that France scored were ultimately off of mistakes that he made. The first one being when he went up to compete with the high ball. He didn't compete, sorry, it was just him. He went up for the high ball and he tried to keep it within the field. And what he did, he ended up flipping it back. That also almost led to Lucu scoring the try, but what it ultimately led to was a dropout, which then led to the consistent pressure that France used to get that try. And then he also did that offload out the back, which led to another France try as well. And that was 14 points purely off of one player's 2 mistakes that he made. If you're talking about any other player, you know, that doesn't have the ability of Russell, like, they would not be playing next week. I know there's no Six Nations next week, but you know what I'm talking about with that phrasing, right? So, yeah, he's such... I just feel like Finn Russell a year ago, like, he would still have mistakes like that, but they wouldn't just be so, like, disastrous in terms of the team. And I've talked about this in previous videos, especially with his performances with Bath. I do feel like he's had a drop of form in the last year. And I don't 100% know why that is. Whether it's like, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. But there's been a drop in form. And there's mistakes like that you could argue, like, talk about the referee, like, affecting 2 scores. Finn Russell gave 2 scores away point blank, right? So those are 2 things you've just shot your own team in the foot for. It's interesting. It's really interesting. He'll definitely go on the Lions tour, but the way that Finn Smith's playing, especially the last few weeks, where he's like the polar opposite in terms of mistakes. He makes none, and obviously there's Prendergast, who is probably very creative, not as creative as Finn Russell, but I don't think he just puts his own team in pits of despair like Russell can. Jack Crowley as well, it doesn't really do that either. It's just like, when you're in a Lions test, do you, like, is the rest of the team... I don't know whether it's because Scotland rely on him so much that maybe they just kind of like accept it. But if you're in a team with British and Irish Lions where it's like the best players of 4 nations put together, do you think mentally like a lot of people will have an attitude of just letting it go? Or will they secretly in their own head, even if they don't like criticise openly, they'll be thinking like, you didn't have to do that, you're forcing it, and you're just causing us to like go behind and try and catch up for something that you've done. I don't know. It's just, maybe it's just a personal preference of what I'd want on the fly half, but for me, don't know. Not for me. Yeah. And I think that's it. I think I'll call it there. It's getting late over here. I want to get these 3 videos out. So, hell of an end to Super Saturday. Yeah, I'll talk about the rest of the tournament. I'll keep this on topic for this game. I'll talk about the rest of the tournament another time. I'll see you in the next one.